Hey everyone, welcome back, and a special welcome to the new subscribers. Since the last video, I am so grateful, and I have been the happiest boy all week. Ever since the announcement, I've been on cloud nine. It has been a blast talking to you guys about Mario RPG. This is my favorite game of all time, and I originally made this channel to talk about my passions and share my interests with you guys and have somebody to talk to about it. So it's really nice to not only discuss my interests, but talk about my favorite game of all time. So this is the part 2 of that first video I'm talking about, and it's inspired from your comments once again. I didn't intend on making a part 2, but you guys had so many great ideas and things I didn't even think about that we're going to discuss some of them today, and I'll also be discussing the most common question I get about these Mario RPG figures and Mallow plush, and I'll be sharing where to get them and also include some links down below, so stay tuned for that. And I want to discuss some screenshots featured in the Japanese Nintendo website that show some images we didn't see from the trailer we got here in the US. There's one image specifically I want to show you because it kind of answers a question I had about this new remake, and if it's true, it will definitely change some little things about the story and how some of the characters react to each other. You'll see what I mean in just a sec. But before all that, I need to apologize for mistakes I made in the first video. Mistakes like calling Booster's Tower Booster's Castle. Thinking that the Link's Awakening remake had DLC when in fact it was just unlockable content. And the biggest one of all, which just a few of you guys, just a couple of you guys noticed. A mistake that I made that I'll probably never recover from. Forgetting that the 2 other figures featured in Pinocchio's shop are from F-Zero, not just Star Fox. So you guys got me. I'm a fake fan. I've never played Super Mario RPG, but I will make it up to you, and I will make this right. Just a sec. In the back of him, he has a collection of Star Fox figures, so Star Fox aircraft figures. So hopefully that'll also be included. And another cameo that we were thinking of is let's talk about the new screenshots. So the first one I want to talk about is the image featuring Mario on Yoshi during the Yoshi's race. I have a feeling that this is going to be like the original, where you tap the buttons towards the beat of the music, but I think they're going to include motion controls. Hear me out. I just have a feeling this is Nintendo. This is a feature that they didn't have an option for back in 1996. I predict that this will have the option, or they will encourage, to use motion controls. Something like bouncing the controller to the beat of the music or shifting it from side to side, something like that. I know there's going to be motion controls somewhere in the game. And if it's going to be anywhere, it's probably going to be during the race. The next image features Mario jumping off of a barrel during one of the mini games as you're going down the river and you're jumping to get the coins. I think this is going to be much better than the original because if you remember, the depth perception was not very clear, and at least for me, I had a hard time judging my distance where the coin was coming down and where Mario was supposed to jump right in time to get the coin. So because we will have 1080p, 60 frames a second, I'm looking forward to having a better time with this mini game and being able to judge the distance and the depth from the coin versus Mario. The next image is one I'm kind of confused by because I'm very happy to see that this is obviously a one-to-one, basically it is the same little mini game where you talk to this little toad boy who has a Game Boy in his hand. And you can play this mini game off of the Game Boy. I was thinking most likely that little boy was going to be holding a Nintendo Switch, not a Game Boy. But I'm actually relieved that it's not a Nintendo Switch. It's a Game Boy screen, and it's from what I can tell of the image, it looks exactly like the game, graphics and all, from the original. So I'm actually happy that that's still in the game. The next image features a battle between Mario, Mallow, and Bowser versus some enemies. If you look closely, you can see that all the enemies on the screen are getting damage, are receiving damage. I'm thinking that he must be doing a normal attack, which, if I remember correctly, normal attacks just hit one character. You can see his flower points, his flower power, are at 59 out of 59. He didn't use up any special ability points. I'm just curious, like, what does that mean? Does that mean, like, other enemies are gonna be taking damage if you hit one? The enemies are going to be taking damage. We have a comment from last video touching on this subject from Jakurin Jaktender Jakala. I definitely butchered that name. I can't believe you didn't speak about the new circle gauge from the remake's battles. There are theories saying that it could be for limit breaks or team attacks, but I think it will just upgrade the new chain thing. The remake also has the new splash damage function when Mario uses the Knock Knock shell on the gorilla, and then the Wiggler also loses HP. Yeah, it looks like there is gonna be some kind of splash damage. Curious to me, like why do we need that? Maybe it's better balancing or something like that. I mean, there will definitely be team attacks in some form or fashion. You can see in the trailer that some of those clips really seem like it would be an animation before the team attack, right? Kind of reminds me of Kingdom Hearts 3, where you would use that team attack with Donald and Goofy, and it would be one of the attractions from Disneyland, and it would be like a little cutscene right before you do that attack. I mean, obviously this will be better than that game, but we're not talking about Kingdom Hearts in this video. Maybe in a future video, but not today. Yeah, so I'm really interested about this new splash damage thing that Jakurin Jaktender Jakala that she was talking about. So the final image I'm really curious about, because I was thinking this remake with the new technology and everything, you'll probably have your party members following you around out in the open. If you remember in the original, all your characters would disappear as soon as you're walking around. Also, in the story, during the cutscenes, the characters would pop in and out of Mario during the cutscenes for whatever reason to interact with other characters and things like that, and they would go back into Mario. And if this image is assumed for the rest of the game, that means that they're going to change some of the little jokes here and there and scenes in the remake. The first one I'm thinking of is, if you remember where Gaz's home, right? Remember Gaz, he had the little Gino doll. You're there standing as Mario, and then Gino and Mallow pop out of Mario, and then Gaz is like surprised that there's Gino. He's surprised to see Gino. There's a little joke even. Gino and Mallow go back into Mario, they bump each other, and then go in. So little things like that, I will actually kind of be sad to see go away, because it was just funny and it's charming. That was very, very Mario RPG-esque. If that's gone and then they don't include the pop in and out, then that'll be a shame, I think. So moving on to some comments, we have Seawind here saying, adding a fight for the star on Star Road or moving the star would be a good place to shake things up for the story. It always struck me as strange that they just gave you a free star without any boss fights or battles. And that's true. If you remember, that star on Star Hill was just sitting there. I agree. It would be really nice to have something, some kind of obstacle in front of it, like a boss, or maybe move it and something that you have to get through. I agree. It did feel a little too easy. I will just say this. If nothing changes, and it's just a one-to-one remake, I will be so happy. But I would like to see some improvements, some little tweaks here and there wouldn't be bad. Next we have Mamodokodope. Mamodokodope. Nailed it. I hope they keep the hidden chests, maybe even add more, but add another walking toad in Peach's castle so you can get that hidden frog coin that you only have one single chance to get. This is very true. I agree 100%. If you know about this hidden chest that he's mentioning, in the beginning of the game, when you walk into Peach's castle and you're following Toad, and he's leading you past this hallway section, there is a section you have one chance to jump onto Toad's head, then use Toad as a platform to then be high enough to get a hidden chest containing a frog coin. And if this is your first time playing the game, there's no indication that there's a hidden chest up there. It's before you know anything about that. So I always thought it was ridiculous that that chest is there. So yeah, I agree. There should be some other way. Maybe have Toad or some other Toads walking around so you can use them as a platform. So I completely agree. Matthew says, totally agree with your points. I'm also curious about the potential stat changes on the characters. Mallow gets outclassed as you progress, and most people seem to cut him from their party. Does he get some sort of buff to keep him relevant in the late game? I'm hoping to, because that's true. Mallow usually gets pushed to the side once we get Peach, and towards the late game he's kind of outclassed. So I'm definitely hoping for some balancing with stats and things like that in the game, because personally, I always want Mallow in my party. Mallow's my dude. Mallow, Gino, and Mario are what I like to see the most. Prediction time. I predict after this game comes out, Mallow will be the new thing. Because those chubby cheeks, those bouncing cheeks that you saw in the trailer, he's gonna be the new hotness. I predict Mallow will be the new Minions. Okay? Mark my words. Chad AF, awesome name, says, what about Jinx joining the party? We need that. I don't know about Jinx joining the party. That's something I forgot to mention in the previous video. What about Jinx? If you remember Jinx, he's the little tiny sprite character, little tiny flea. I don't even know what he is. He's like a martial arts grandmaster that you beat that you can fight in the game. So Gino is actually one of my favorite characters in the game, and this is what he looks like from the player's guide. So as you can see, I'm not sure if he's like an insect or something, but he's just a tiny little guy that's extremely powerful and strong. I can't wait to see what he looks like in the remake. Like, how is his design gonna look in this new game? So I'm really excited to see Jinx. Of course he's gonna be in the game. They'd be insane to remove Jinx from this new remake. But as far as him joining your party, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think Yoshi has a better chance of joining your party than anyone else, particularly because if you look at the Japanese box art, I have it right here. If you look at the Japanese box art, Yoshi's right there. All the party members are with you, including Yoshi. Here's the back of the box if you're curious, but Yoshi's right there, so it makes you assume that he's a party member or a playable character. So I think if anybody would join your party, it would be Yoshi, and frankly it should be. By the way, I love the new box art of the remake. Some people were complaining that it's too simple because it's just a white background with the characters, but as you can see, it's just modeled off of the original Japanese box art, which I love. It's like Nintendo's White Album, okay? Next we have new type XVII, I think that's 17. Surprised for someone who absolutely loves this game, you never defeated Culex, not even with rock candy. Load up the game and do it. I will. So if you've seen my personal story about why I love Mario RPG very much, when I was a kid playing this game, not until later got past Jonathan Jones' area, the sunken ship part, particularly because of the password, which was very difficult for me as a kid who couldn't read. And also, I didn't get the concept of grinding and leveling up at that age. And I knew about Culex much later. I just never really cared enough to go do that. I just, I love Mario RPG for everything else. I also thought that you needed the super suit to beat him, because you have to do 100 jumps in a row with Mario to unlock the super suit. Culex being the most powerful boss in the game, I just put those together and was like, oh, well, I'm obviously not gonna beat Culex. So I never really attempted it. I never even tried. I watched speedrunners do it, and that was fun enough for me. However, my promise to you, and everyone watching this video, I will defeat Culex before this remake comes out. That is my promise. And I will try to perform 100 jumps in a row. Let me know if you guys want to see me do that because I'm not sure how exciting it will be, but let me know if you want to see me fight Culex and potentially beat him. Hopefully. Maybe. Fingers crossed. The Disco Evil says, I think it's more likely that this version will just have voice clips than full voice acting, but I still doubt that Mallow and Gino will have a voice. I want to know what they'd sound like. Yeah, me too. When I read their dialogue, I can hear voices that, I kind of have an idea of what they would sound like. For me personally, I picture Gino having kind of a adult Trunks voice from Dragon Ball Z. He just sounds cool, and that's just what pops in my head, is adult Trunks from Dragon Ball Z. But for Mallow, I used to imagine, what's that character from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, the meatball character? It kind of sounds like this. Hey everybody, hey, what's going on? He kind of sounds like him in my head, but now I'm kind of thinking, he's a little boy, and he's sweet. So he would have a higher pitch voice, and what I said in the reply was, I'm kind of thinking he sounds like Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog, but with a mouth stuffed with bread. That kind of very pudgy, kind of high-pitched voice, but sounds like he has a mouthful of food. Let me know in the comments, what if this game was completely dubbed, completely voice acted, who would you choose to cast as each character? I mean, Mario obviously would be Chris Pratt, right? No. It'd be Charles Martinet. And Bowser, Jack Black, obviously. You know who I would cast for Booster? Since the beginning, I have always imagined him having the voice of Al Pacino. To me, it just works. I would love to hear Al Pacino's voice coming out of Booster. I just think it works perfectly. Gamer of Fate says, you know what I hope won't be in the remake from the original? The asinine bad translations of enemy names. I really hope they give those a good redo. Neo Squid? Enough said. I totally agree with this. There are some names that just do not make sense. I actually looked it up. There's a few names from characters that in Japanese make sense. Like Exor, the giant sword that goes through Bowser's castle, where you hit him in his face. It's left eye, right eye, and mouth. For whatever reason, the Nintendo of America team decided, no, we're not gonna say mouth. We're gonna say Neo Squid, which I googled, and I have no idea why they named Exor's mouth Neo Squid. Nothing comes up except pictures of squids. So if you know why they renamed his mouth Neo Squid, please let me know. That is something I have always wondered, and I've never heard anything about that. But I completely agree. Some of the names don't make sense, but at the same time, maybe that's the charm of Mario RPG. Another thing that I would really love to have in this new remake is quality of life improvements. Having a 999 coin cap is really limiting and kind of frustrating when you want to sell more items and you don't gain anything from it because maybe you're already at 999. That I hope changes. I hope they don't cap the coin amount that you can have. Also, if you remember your inventory, when you have all your mushrooms and your flower jars and all the different things, your rock candy, your red essence, I hope they stack. Because in the original, items did not stack. It was literally like 29 slots is all you got, and it was mushroom, 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 flower jar, rock candy, rock candy. It was just like that. When you could just condense it and have them stack and have a quantity in each item. That would be amazing. I will be so upset if they don't stack items. Also, it would be really nice if they had a type of mission log in the options menu, kind of like, you can imagine Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, where you go to your missions and side missions and you can check on the progress and what you need to do next, and kind of gives you a clue of where to go next. I would really like that too, because I think a lot of new players will maybe forget about certain side missions that they were working on. Just some kind of thing to help people along and not forget where they're going and some of those side stories and little side missions that are incomplete. I hope there's some kind of status chart that will tell you when you complete the game. Something that will say, give you information that, you know, you haven't done this yet or you haven't found all of these yet. That would be great too, because I know a lot of people like to 100% games. That would be good to have, because there are so many unique and secret items in the original that just like no one would ever know unless they bought the player's guide or just heard about it from someone else. So that's another quality of life thing that I hope is in the remake. Another extra bit of content that I really hope is in this remake is some kind of Mario RPG museum. Something that as you progress through the game, you'll unlock 3D models, original artwork for the making of Mario RPG that you can go back and look over. I would love that if they introduce some kind of museum options in the game, some extra bit of content. Oh, that would be amazing. But like I said before, if nothing changes and it's just a one-to-one remake, I will be eternally happy and so grateful, because this is such an amazing game. It is a masterpiece. It is my favorite game of all time, and it always will be. So I think in the comments, Zalios says it the best. The Star Road has been repaired. Our wish came true. And that sums it up. Our wish did come true. My wish came true. We got our remake, and maybe even a sequel if this does well. Alright, let's answer the question about where I got these figures from. Now, as I said before, all the links to where you can get these figures and plush from will be included in the description, starting with the Mario RPG figure set from Nico 3D. So Nico 3D is a 3D sculptor. He's an artist, and you can download and purchase his designs from his website. At the time of recording, I don't think he actually ships these out to you. You have to 3D print them yourself, which is what I did. I don't own a 3D printer, so I had somebody that I know who does have one print these out for me, and then I went ahead and painted them myself. And as you see, they are absolutely perfection in terms of the design. Nico 3D got these absolutely perfect. They are the most accurate renditions of the original designs for these characters I have ever seen. So I painted these by hand with acrylic paint. I finished them with something called Angela's Forecoat, which is made for shoes, but it gives it a really premium matte finish, and it makes it look really soft and nice. As you can see, he also has these stands that you can download. For me, I just chose to spray paint them bronze, and I added some shadowing, but you can see underneath, I didn't really care to finish it, but here's his Gino. Again, absolute perfection. The sculpt is perfect. And I was talking to Nico 3D in the comments. He is coming out with a booster and plans on making a baby fat Yoshi as well, which is amazing. I can't wait for that. They look absolutely amazing on their stands. I am so happy to have these, and I will treasure them forever. Next, we have this posable Gino figure I got from a Etsy store called JosephsJunk. So JosephsJunk has a lot of figures they make themselves. You can purchase the Gino ones in two different styles. The one that I got was the cheaper style, where it comes in just the 3D printed wooden design with a couple basic colors included, and then it's assumed that you will paint the rest yourself, or you can spend more and get the more expensive option where it's all completely covered. So I chose the cheaper one and then just painted it myself, the same way with acrylic paint, finishing off with Angela's Forecoat, which you can get on Amazon. By the way, this is not sponsored. I get a lot of questions about these figures, so I'm answering it, and I paid for these with my own money, happily so. And the final one is this Mallow plush. No, this is not the $20,000 rare Mallow plush from Nintendo back in the day super sought out for. No, this is actually a custom-made Mallow plush from an Etsy store called CherryCoolToys. She does amazing work. This is really high quality. It's all handmade, so some of them might look different than others. I actually painted on these little white dots myself, but I'm really happy with this, and I recommend if anybody wants a Mallow plush. And she also does other ones too. You can even draw a picture of a character you made up, and she will do her best to replicate it in plush form. So really awesome store. Check her out too. But that's it for this video. If you have any suggestions or ideas, please leave them down below, and let's talk more about Mario RPG, because I'm having a blast, honestly. Thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. I really appreciate it. Also, let me know if you do want to see me defeat Culex and attempt the 100 jump challenge. I will do my best before the remake comes out. Have a good day, guys. Look forward to talking to you next time. Later.